They have their stores. Tell it to the community. That's your only role. We go to an event because we cover it. Whatever power we have, it's for them. We just write about them. We don't abuse that power.
This is Lee, Motivationalee. Alice, being the leader in media, how do you balance journalistic integrity with the responsibility of being the voice of the Filipino-Australian community?
I really don't put it in my mind that I'm the leader. I just want to be the medium. So they use me to connect Australians and Filipinos. Like for example, during COVID, Herald Sun would contacted us to get Filipino members with COVID. So they got interested and they want to feature those Filipinos in the ICU, those Filipinos with COVID. Everyone was reacting, oh, who got COVID? You know, there's like fear. But as media, we need to calm down. This is the information. We need to be upfront about it.
And we have to make sure that you balance everything, like it weighs between, you know, the community itself. That you know, if you're giving them information, it must be fair and just at the same time. With all those maybe challenges all throughout the journey of how many years now is the newspaper?
We're on the 35th year.
35th year.
So I'm in the newspaper this is my 25th year.
Have you got any sort of like, maybe an example of any stories, like challenges that you think that has impacted the community itself, you know, the Filipino-Australian community, and it also created an impact to the Philippine Times?
For some reason, I like the nurses and the senior citizens. Because, you know, with the nurses, you're looking at, I know that you're a nurse and you look after the patients, you know, you need to be healthy, mentally prepared, physically. During COVID, we were featuring the nurses and the doctors. And it had a positive impact to the community. And we got a grant from the government for the COVID media. We have like the COVID video, we call it. And we featured nurses, business people, doctors.
And speaking of like the COVID situation, everyone would remember this, that almost everything has shifted into an online opportunity.
Yes, yes.
And with the newspaper, obviously, you know, people may be now on social media all the time. There are lots of vloggers everywhere. Why do you think there's still a need of a newspaper, whether it's digital or maybe a physical paper? Why do you
For the first time during COVID, we said, oh my gosh, this is the end. Because like, oh, this is like, we need to shift now.
Yeah.
But we got so busy for some reason because everyone was like in the front of the computer. Everyone was at home reading.
Yes.
And whenever we post like, oh, another person got COVID and here's the actual one with COVID, you know, readership increased.
Yes.
So we got so busy.
Yeah, and they got hooked as well with all the stories that you have also shared.
But the responsibility is on us. You need to report correctly.
Definitely.
So imagine.
In the media,
so we were like, and we helped the
voice.
government because, you know, with the government, they would have like, I remember every week they have like meeting about, you know, COVID, multicultural media. So we were there. We're not talking about like Herald Sun that it's a big newspaper, okay? This is like a community newspaper. But because we're the only Filipino community newspaper here, we feel like we owe it to the community.
It's not easy to, you know, put yourself in front there, right? Because there's a lot of expectations and all that.
It's not.
Where do you get the inspiration to keep thriving despite of all the highs and lows in you know, publishing, in many different challenges? Where do you get that inspiration?
This is just like an example, okay? When we had COVID, the chefs and then those people like, I want to put up a restaurant, and you're not allowed. And we were like featuring chefs, and then there came a time that they were inspired that I can do this, and then the Chefs Association was formed, and then Did you see that it sprouted? And I believe that we were part of that. We're not like inspire them, but we help. Because you were at home and you were like dreaming.
Yeah, you're assisting them.
We put one story and there's another story.
Yeah.
That's why, like all the chefs, they got excited.
You were like the catalyst of the success of other people.
And the Australian community, they started going to Filipino restaurants. Oh, very good. Filipino dishes, very good. Now they're introduced to it. They go to 𝐷𝐿, 𝐶𝐕,
So there's more exposure because that's really good. You're part of the journey.
Yes,
I think so. And
little journey, but we're happy.
Yeah, and I also believe like anyone's success or a success of one is a success of everyone.
True.
And if you all like during those COVID situation, even up to now, if you all like work together for greater purpose, everyone will be very happy because we're all here to live one another and up. And that's really one of the things that you're doing as well as, part of the Philippine Times, right? So talking about examples of decision as a leader, leadership decision. Can you cite an example that you have made a decision yourself as a leader and has significantly impacted Philippine Times, and what have you learned from those experiences?
One example I remember is we went to the Supreme Court, okay? Because one organization, they like, and a group of their members, they were like fighting until they went to magistrate, Supreme Court for whatever reason, okay? It's there in the paper. And we were included, but the coverage of Philippine Times, this is the paper, okay? One side to this one, and we put another one. So we have two opinions, whatever they discuss. And because we use the newspaper, this group one brought us to court. Okay? Because they were like, they have issues. We hired a lawyer, solicitor, and a barrister. So we spent like around 26,000 or 25,000 for the barrister. So we went to the Supreme Court, and they're like, we were in the room and they were like talking, the lawyers, and we're just community newspaper. Why would you include us?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, group one said, can you remove the online articles? And I cried because it affected us. We're just reporting. Why would you request to remove it? It's there already. And it affected me as a publisher.
I see.
But when you spend like 26,000, that's a big amount. This is a community newspaper, and what we get like for advertisements, we put it back for postage, production, printing, little fee for the staff. We have our graphic artist in the Philippines, and we have managing editor in the Philippines. So it affected us financially until such time that they had like out of court settlement. So
that's good. And this was like many years ago, right?
Few years ago, and even if it affected us financially, I was thinking we're just doing correct. Whatever, I'm sure we did some, incorrect things there along the way, but that's all right. Philippine Times is an institution. Anyone, us, we will be gone soon, but Philippine Times is Philippine Times.
Yeah, it will still evolve. Yeah, that's good. Let's talk about bridging leadership. In what ways do you think Philippine Times could bridge this kind of leadership, and that would foster as well unity, collaboration, and understanding between Filipino and Australian community?
Okay. The Australian government would contact us, okay, for advertisement whenever they have something big.
Yeah.
And they would invite us. Even I remember this, I won't forget this, because previous Premier Dan Andrews, we were the first, Philippine Times was the first to be contacted for an ethnic media meeting. And I remember we like sat down and he was discussing your role in the community, and I really felt like this is the time that I was like, I'm so proud. We put it on the cover. This happens only once, once in a lifetime. I might not be able to meet any other, premier or whatever, we're doing the right thing. Even when we have challenges, because community newspaper, it's not easy. Like every day you have challenges.
Yes.
You know, working with the community, it's not easy.
Yes. Speaking of challenges, do you think you can maybe share again a challenging situation wherein it also impacted the Philippine Times and the community itself, the Filipino, between the Filipino and Australian community in general? And what have you learned from it? Yeah.
I want to go first to the community, okay?
Yeah.
Because I won't forget also like one community leader contacting us where we will stop advertising because you put my ugly photo. And we look at each other. Because when you're a community leader, this is not about your face.
Yes.
This is about community service.
Yes.
So
what have you done to the community, right? Made a difference.
And it helps us to deal with the community because you know our community is very sensitive. Like when there are like two groups, they don't see each other. If you have photo with this group, the other group wouldn't like it because they would think, oh, I'm siding this. So even having photo together affects them. But we just continue, we just move on.
Yes.
We're just instruments here.
That's right. Is it like you're like an influencer, right? That if you make sure that you are in the other association,
Neutral.
you must be in the other association, you must be neutral.
In the coming days, I won't tell when, okay? Because it will be like, they said,
surprise,
don't go
yeah.
to this event because they're not in good terms. But this is like the newspaper. We need to feature them. We need to cover the event.
Yes.
It's not about you.
You can't really avoid some clash between one association and another within the community. How do you actually manage this kind of situation?
We're not part of their, if there are like internal problem, sometimes we hear everything. Because Alice or Jason, this is like what happened. We're not part of that. Even individuals, when you're fighting, we just want to be neutral. So we need to feature you. We need to go to your event. And this is our role. We're so clear. We go here for your event. We're not part of your brief.
Yeah, and that's good that you set clear boundaries at the same time, that no one owns you because you stand alone as a newspaper, Philippine Times.
Even if you don't like this person, just go.
I know, because sometimes people would think like, Alice is my friend. She shouldn't be going there because she's my friend. So I think setting clear boundaries to these people that you don't own me.
True.
I have my own mind. True. I have my own business. We have to mind our business, our own business. And no one can really manipulate or dictate whatever you want to do. If it's for Philippine Times, you just go for whatever events that you are needed to be, right?
This is like my training. I tell our team, I tell them like, we go to an event because we cover it, okay? Whatever power we have, it's for them. We just write about them. We don't abuse that power. I can go there like anytime and like I'm big. It's not that. Because I want them to be our team just to be just on the side. Okay? You help them. You're not part of that event.
Yep.
Just cover. They have their stores. Tell it to the community. That's your only role. And don't let the, ego or whatever into your mind.
That's true. Because if ego strikes, it becomes very selfish.
Yes.
It's all about me, me, me. When do you say that a certain newspaper, not just Philippine Times, but in general, that there is a well-balanced content? What is well-balanced content for you?
Okay, well-balanced content is if you can see this is what's happening in the community and it's reflected there.
Yeah. And do you think that in every content that a certain article or newspaper should do would be, there should be one for sports maybe, there should be an article for food or something, there must be an article for the youth, for the
senior citizens.
Something like. Do you think that's a well balanced as well?
Yes, because we are even reaching out to interstate writers for them to write. Because like Philippine Times is the only active Filipino community newspaper in the whole of Australia. Yeah, we're the longest serving, 35 years. So we have like volunteers from different states.
And if that happens, the more people are going to follow and like and subscribe.
Yes.
If this is digital as well, because you have a well-balanced article. It's not just, as you have said, events like parties or concerts. You also have something like people can learn from, let's say, a story of this, whatever is the content. It's not just for big events, but also
like social events.
Not just for social events, but for other stories as well, or maybe some of them are workshops, and thank you for also featuring our workshop last time. The Philippine Consulate, and it's good that people can actually see what's in Philippine Times, because some of them, maybe those who are new in this country, they don't know like what can I see in Philippine Times. It's not just for social events, but for other even big matters here that's going on within the Filipino Australian community. So that's really good.
Yes, that's why for newly arrived migrants and international students, we have this like portion there where we put the masses, like for born again, Christians, Catholics. I want it to be there because when you arrive and you're sad, you're lonely, you miss your family, where should I go? It's always the faith, right? Faith. So which church? So if you're Iglesia ni Cristo, you go there. That's why we feature different regional organizations, like the Pampangueño, Ilocano. So when you come here, I try to tell them, look for your region. If you're Kapampangan, the Kapampangan group, because this is where we'll start. And then go to your church, because that's important. And then you get a group. That's where you'll start. You get like work, they can refer you. You talk to someone, your same language.
Nice. It's really nice to know that Philippine Times is connecting people.
Yeah, connecting and uniting.
Yes, I love that.
Not easy.
Speaking of the power itself, and the power to create content, for Philippine Times, and moving forward, evolving this in the coming years. What contents do you think, the newspaper is thinking right now, which is really for us to look forward to?
Okay, what I like is, I just subdivide it. I want the younger generation. Remember your daughter was on that, and I chose that picture, and I was happy. So I like the teenagers to be to tell their stories. When I meet them like him, I encourage them to be part of the newspaper. Sometimes they're shy. They would think, oh, I couldn't join you, but you have like skills to share.
Good.
And I like the migrants, the new international students. And then we go by profession. As I said, nurses, the chefs. But what about the welders? Like there's one company in Dandenong, they have like 30 Filipino welders. I want to go there, interview, they have stories to tell, how they were able to come here, And then the families, they have stories. And then the seniors.
That's good.
And we have like sometimes interruption, like, oh, there's this, I'm sure you heard this, like the Filipino guy who went fishing and was stabbed. Remember that? By a homeless
that's right.
man. And I attended the funeral. And this is like your first time to meet them, but I can see like familiar faces. And it's nice to be part of that mourning,
True.
And I need to report to the community, so I was taking photos, videos.
Supporting the community itself.
So it's not only like events, it's not only like the happiness when you're happy. There are like sad stories.
And that's good that you're uniting that multicultural diversity of this country at the same time, that you don't just choose like, oh, because she's my friend, a friend of a friend. There's the common friends or whatever. You reach out even to those people that you don't know, which is really good, and the whole staff of Philippine Times. That's good. My
strategies really is just lead a simple life. As long as you're healthy, you're happy, that's it. Because money couldn't save you that.